Hi everyone. We move to Chapter 8, Industrial Pollution. A stream is polluted when it has been unacceptable for a defined usage by a pollutant. When the pollutant has industry as a point of origin, as opposed to domestic residences, the waste is categorized as industrial waste. Industry pollution can be defined as pollution, which can be directly linked with industry, in contrast to other pollution sources. This form of pollution is one of the leading causes of pollution worldwide, estimated that up to 50% of the nation's pollution is caused by industry. Industrial pollution is a serious problem for the entire planet, especially in nations which are rapidly industrializing, such as Malaysia. This form of pollution dates back to antiquity, but widespread industrial pollution accelerated rapidly in the 1800s, with the start of the Industrial Revolution. The period mechanized means of production, allowing for a much greater volume of production, and generating a corresponding increase in pollution. For example, the use of fuels like coal to run the engine. There are a number of forms of industrial pollution. One of the most common is water pollution, caused by dumping of industrial waste into waterways, or improper containment of waste, which causes leakage into groundwater and waterways. Industrial pollution can also impact air quality, and it can enter the soil, causing widespread environmental problems. Because of the nature of the global environment, industrial pollution is never limited to industrial nations. Mean that non-industrial region might also be polluted with the pollution. For example, samples of ice cores from Antarctica and the Arctic both show high levels of industrial pollutants, illustrating the immense distances which pollutants can travel, and traces of industrial pollutants have been identified in isolated human, animal, and plant populations as well. Industrial pollution hurts the environment in a range of ways, and it has a negative impact on human lives and health. Pollutants can kill animals and plants, imbalance ecosystems, degrade air quality radically, damage buildings, and generally degrade the quality of life. Industrial water pollution arises from agricultural practices, deforestation, and poor land management. In addition, industrial accidents such as oil or chemical spills can create large-scale disruptions to hydrologic systems. Thermal water pollution may occur from industrial processes that discharge heated water. Industries release the heated waste after using them as a cooling agent. Industrial processes that discharge wastewater into streams and rivers may pollute bodies of both fresh and sea water. This effluent may carry industrial water pollution for many nautical miles, far away from the industries, affecting aquatic wildlife. Heavy metals may be contained in some industrial waste. These metals, such as mercury, lead, or beryllium, may settle on the bottom of streams and tidal basins. Which industries pollute the most to the environment? First one is chemical processing industry, such as fertilizer, pharmaceutical, pesticide industry. Second, manufacturing and processing of metals, cement, and paper. Third is oil refining. Industries which rely on fossil fuel also pollute, including coal-fired power plants, airlines, and the automobile industry. And lastly, farming industry. Industrial accidents may result in extremely large releases of industrial water pollution. For example, Deep Horizon oil spill, that occurred off the Louisiana coast in the U.S. in 2010, which was the largest oil spill in U.S. history. Union Carbide gas leak in Bhopal, India in 1984 due to pesticide industry. Chernobyl disaster in Ukraine due to nuclear disaster. And Fukushima Daiichi in Japan also by nuclear disaster. What is waste? Waste is a movable object which has no direct use, and is discarded permanently. How about hazardous waste? Wastes consist of solid, liquids, and containerized gases, other than radioactive, and infectious wastes which, by reason of their chemical activity, toxic, explosive, corrosive, or other characteristics cause danger to health or the environment whether alone or when coming into contact with other waste. Hazardous wastes are wastes that are a risk to the health of humans or other living organisms. They may be solids, liquids, or gases. They often contain toxic, corrosive, flammable, reactive, or explosive materials. This figure shows the types of hazardous waste that can be found around us. From dyes, cleansers to plastics, lubricants, and toxic metals, and pesticide. A typical scenario is that the site became contaminated, the contaminants were released and migrated into the subsurface where rainfall, solvents or groundwater transported the contaminants to points of groundwater use, or surface discharge to the aquatic environment where human and animal will use the water source. The remediation of contaminated sites is a far bigger problem than the management of currently generated hazardous wastes. How about wastewater? Wastewater from industrial discharge may contain a combination of high BOD, organic substances, high level of suspended solid, and presence of toxic substances. This discharge can be 10 or more times higher than found in the raw sewage. For example, the BOD in the raw sewage may be in the range of 200 parts per million, while industrial wastewater, the level can reach up to 10 or 20,000 parts per million. Industrial wastewater can be classified into 3 types. The first type is wastes with high BOD. For example, oil palm, rubber, fruits, and vegetable canning, milk, beverage, sugar cane refineries cause oxygen problems similar to that stated in sewage pollution. The second type is wastes with a high BOD and a significant level of toxic substances. The high BOD derived as well as inorganic and organic compounds released. For example, pulp and paper mills, petroleum refineries. The third type is wastes with low or no BOD and high levels of toxic substances. For example, metal refineries, chemical processes, and acid or alkaline production. This waste normally is a mixed waste toxicity and toxic to aquatic organism, and can cause bioaccumulation problems. Inorganic pollutant was led by the chemicals, acids, alkalis, inorganic salts generally formed during the processing in the industrial. These chemicals are toxic to aquatic organisms and human health. The organic pollutants are sugars, oil, proteins that present in the aquatic system through food processing industries. Industrial wastes categorized by contaminant. Acids and alkalis, perhaps the most common industrial waste. Solid and liquids, grease and oils are common lubricants. Solvents and cleaners are used widely. Heated water, thermal pollution. Heated water can alter a biome as well as killing fish and fry, usually associated with power plants. Toxic chemicals. Usually considered the core of the problem. Heavy metals include lead, cadmium, chromium. Heavy biological oxygen demand loads. Food and paper industries. Microorganisms may be useful for treatment. Industrial wastes, by sources. Food products, animal, meat, fish, poultry, dairy. Food products, vegetable, canned foods, starches, potatoes, cereals, sugar, cane and beets, fermentation, beer and wine. Mining, coal, metals. Manufactured products. Inorganic chemicals, sulfuric acid, chlorine. Organic chemicals, petrochemicals, pesticides, insecticides, plastics. Metal finishing, cleaning and plating. Pulp and paper, textiles and leather. Petroleum hydrocarbon industry. From oil terminal and oil refinery. Normally contain aliphatic and aromatic hydrocarbons. The hydrocarbons with a trace amount of other chemical elements. A high bod and toxic hydrocarbon compounds. Laundry industry. Largest personal service industry. Estimated $1.6 billion annually. Around 2.5 billion kilogram of laundry per week in US. 8 liters of waste per kilogram of clothes. Waste originates from dirt, grease, starch, dyes. Waste characteristics: highly turbid, alkaline, colored. Canned food industry. This industry requires a great deal of water. Wash water from cleaning vegetable. Solids from sorting, peeling and coring. Spillage from filling and sealing machines. Wash water from cleaning floors, tables, belts. Treatment in lagoons involves aerobic or anaerobic activity, sedimentation, soil absorption, evaporation and dilution. That is some example what waste create by specific industries. What is the interaction of oxygen with the industrial effluent? Wastewater from industrial activity may easily have BOD, due to the oxidation on organic matters by microorganism. If wastewater being discharged into the aquatic system, oxygen level in water would drop. However, as the distance from outfall increase, the oxygen influx from atmospheric will exceed the microbial respiration rate. Therefore, the oxygen level is slowly back to virtually 100% as distance increase. Picture A shows the discharge waste is sufficient high in BOD, so the oxygen level will drop to 0. Meanwhile in picture B, if there are 2 or more industrial activities in the river system, the phenomenon occur when the waste from the earlier route are still apparent in water, and combine with the new discharge. The water quality along the discharge, or river system may undergo a deleterious. The oxygen concentration may drop to 0, anoxic condition. The effect may extend few kilometers, before the oxygen raise up again, or back to normal concentration. Natural fauna would be completely displaced in the distance. This figure shows the effect of the pollution concentration, gross, heavy, and mild pollution to the oxygen level and the distance from the source. This pie chart shows the type of industrial discharge in Malaysia. Majority from sewage treatment and manufacturing industry. Do you know what is the pollution status for Malaysia rivers? 54 rivers categorized as polluted, 577 still in monitoring for the pollution status. If we divide interstate, Johor has the highest numbers of polluted river, followed by Penang, 10. Let's look one example. In Sungai Klang, 1 million ton sewage collected along the river. In this polluted river, only one species of fish can survive in the river. However, these fishes should not be eaten due to high. Do you know the answers? That's all for this chapter. Thank you. Have a nice day.